Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all courtesies observed. What has this conference meant for the international ocean action agenda? First thing that I take from this conference is that from this conference onwards, Africa is a central part of the global conversation on the need for ocean action. The second point I take from this conference is that we no longer talk about the blue economy without putting the word sustainable in front of it. That we've understood through what we've discussed here at this conference that the ocean and the lakes and rivers, the regional seas, are there for our grandchildren as well as for us. We must conserve and sustainably use for sustainable development the resources of the water bodies of this planet. The third thing that I would take from this conference, and I think it's been a real game changer, is that when we talk about the ocean, we're talking about the largest reservoir of H2O on the planet. But of course, H2O is also in the atmosphere, and it's also in our lakes and rivers. And what the Nairobi conference has done has given us that holistic view of water, that the source to sea principle is key for us as we go forward. Because most of our problems in the ocean may relate to climate change, but they also relate to human activity on land and what that is doing to our coastal ecosystems and our marine ecosystems. So that has been a central outcome also from the Nairobi conference, that going forward, we understand the holistic nature of the ecosystem in which humanity lives. Mr. President, it is true that the ocean is in trouble from effects of climate change and from pollution and from harmful fisheries practices. But the good news is that since 2015, we've had this universal plan, the Paris Climate Agreement, the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, and the mosaic of international agreements which support those two great universal agreements that humanity arrived at after many years of intense negotiation between us all. We must have integrity in implementing that plan. We have no other plan for humanity's place on this planet. In relation to that, I highlight SDG 14, the 14th Sustainable Development Goal, the ocean goal. And Mr. President, as you well know, 4 of the 10 targets of SDG 14 mature in 2020. That is why your government and the government of Portugal offered to host a second UN Ocean Conference in 2020 to assess our progress in implementing SDG 14. And we will come together. The groundwork is being prepared now in New York. We will come together in June in Lisbon, co-hosted and co-presided over by your government and the government of Portugal, and be led by you into the next game-changing phase for ocean action. And I suggest to you that that will be about funding. We have to start getting the reservoirs of funds which we know are sitting out there in the world into ocean action, down at the grassroots on our coastal communities, out on our seas and in our lakes and rivers. I commit, Mr. President, to carrying forward the outcomes of this conference, and they have been spectacular. We have not yet seen the list of commitments that have been made, but I know what they are, and they are spectacular, the commitments list that has come out of this conference. I commit to carrying that forward in every ocean meeting that I attend around the world between now and when we sit under your co-presidency in Lisbon in June 2020. The outcomes from the Nairobi conference must be known to the world, and I, as the ocean envoy in a different country every week of the year, will convey that message. Mr. President, I'd like to conclude with a quote from Shakespeare to at least give the impression that I received some kind of education back in my school days in Fiji. There is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat. We must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. Mr. President, I believe we are on that full sea. We now have the awareness that action is required, and we must take that current or we will lose our ventures indeed. We in Fiji say that we're all in the same canoe. There is no other planet for humanity to exist on. So we're all in the same canoe. We know what the destination is. We have that plan. Let's set out on that voyage. Let's get the sails up and make our way to that destination in 2030. And I very much look forward to taking the voyage with you. Thank you.